Welcome to our next webinar. My name is Peter Kupauer. I'm a senior consultant here in Lundegard, and it's my great pleasure to host you at our 10th Digital Cafe, which will be co-hosted by us. Lundegard is a technology provider and technology partner, and Aspiro, our great partner company, which is a very, in the most positive sense of the word, positive disruptor and disrupting factor on the digital market, bringing new ideas to the table and always striving to go beyond what's expected. For today, we'll have approximately an hour-long session, and we'll have two guest speakers. First of which is going to be Ms. Ivana Sulikova, an HR business partner for Slovakia and Czech Republic at M.S.D. And fortunately for us, owing to her position, she'll be bringing the perspective of the practical problems she and obviously all of us in these trying times are facing, and what can top management do to accordingly empower the company employees in order to secure their happiness and productivity. The second guest speaker will be Mr. David Března from the partner Aspiro company, one of the founding partners and director of Digital Corporate Advisory. Aspiro is a consulting company designing new business models, often directly involved in launching new digital ideas together with the clients. Established almost 13 years ago and based in Central Europe, Aspiro operates around the globe with projects in more than 35 countries. So, not to speak for way too long, the main topic of our Digital Cafe today is going to be the digital employee. And I would very much like to ask Ms. Sulikova to take the stage and walk us through her beautiful presentation. Ivana, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for introduction and also for inviting me. I'm happy to share my experience when it comes to digital and digital employees. For those of you who do not know what it is, M.S.D, let me first tell you a little bit about the company so you maybe understand it, what kind of employees do we have and what kind of customers do we have in the connection with the digital, which I will be describing. So M.S.D or Merck Sharp & Dohme is an American pharmaceutical company, and we have in Slovakia 60 employees, mostly in commercial, meaning sales and marketing, and 1,500 employees in Czech Republic, again commercial division, but also IT hub and finance hub. And I'm supporting mostly commercial colleagues in both countries. So that's to description of the company. And now I would like to tell you how we came to digital employee. So let's move to presentation. And we started our digital strategy not just because of COVID, as it was in many companies when it accelerated digital, but we started our digital journey back in 2019 when we adopted a new strategy, digital strategy. We started with implementing agile ways of working, agile mindset, and also we tried to accelerate the digital ways of communicating with our customers. So before we were mostly delivering messages face-to-face, but in 2019 we launched digital strategy, we launched new CRM system, and our salespeople started to much more use digital channels to deliver messages to our customers. That's when we speak about how we started to communicate out of the company. But with this, we also, of course, wanted to accelerate this also internally when it comes to communication with employees. And what happened? Corona came, and that even more accelerated the need to go to virtual world and to basically use all the digital channels and ways of cooperating. So we were on the beginning, of course, probably like many of you, struggling with implementing digital communication ways like Zoom, WebEx. We launched the internal social network, Yammer, and we tried to educate our colleagues how to use these systems. And that was like the really basic, right? Probably all the companies experienced the same. So we needed to move from these basics then to like advanced level. When it comes to business part of the life, we needed to, for example, redesign our KPIs, KPIs our salespeople are having, because in the past they were visiting, let's say, face-to-face 8 customers a day. Now we needed to define what is the visit, what is this so-called call. Is it a phone call? Is it one email? Is it some virtual meeting? What it is, and how many of these calls and what quality and what combination our people should do so they reach their objectives. So we were quite successful doing this, and also then we try to do the same internally. We try to find out what is the right way of communication with our employees. We had some successful stories, but also some failures, of course. For example, one of the success stories is that we were in the Corona times quite successful switching from the reservation system we had for parking to reservation system we now have for reserving the working tables, because we can be just 50% of people in the office. So that was quite a success story, because we managed to do it pretty quickly. That was in Slovakia, and it was a little bit easier tool because of the amount of employees. And in Czech Republic, our IT had to program the app for how to go to the office and how to book the place. So that's like one practical thing. But then also it came to this soft part, like how to engage employees, how to be together, how to build the company, how to build our culture. And for that, we again were quite successful in some parts, and we are still looking for our way in other parts. So as probably many of you, we implemented during first part of Corona time virtual coffees, because we couldn't meet in the kitchen anymore, where we just chat, exchange the personal stories, or were sharing just some news from our work lives. We had a communication plan when we used like town halls, when our leaders are speaking to all the employees, or we try to do also some team activities. What we also implemented is a system for kind of saying thank you in between employees, no matter what organizational structure is. This is called Inspire, and through this system, any employee in M.S.D can send to any employee in M.S.D either thank you or some points to cafeteria or some small amount of money based on some act that the other person did for him or her. So these are like successful stories because we saw that people started to use it, people started to adopt these digital ways of communication, and that was just like the first part. Then there was a summer, and also, at least in Slovakia, the number of Corona cases went down, people went for vacations, and everything kind of slowed down. But then in September, together with the end of the summer, Corona came back, and we realized that we implemented all these tools. We started to do things virtually, but it was still in a way that people were waiting until this time will end and we will come back to face. So it wasn't like really adopted. We realized it not only when it comes to internal communication, not only when it comes to culture, but we realized this also when it comes to business results, because we started to observe that our colleagues in sales, they were meeting their KPIs, their digital KPIs. They were doing the number of calls they were supposed to, but it still wasn't embedded in their minds. They still didn't properly think which tool to use. They didn't play with it. They didn't have fun with the tools they have. So now we are in a stage when we are trying to somehow redesign this, so we motivate our colleagues to really not just wait until this digital communication will end, but to really enjoy it and to really use it smartly. And we can see that for those when it was successful, their business results are much higher than those that are doing it just because they have to. And then we have to think in the same way when it comes to our internal communication and engaging employees. Because now we have very nice communication plan. We know exactly that we have 2 town halls a month, that we have 3 or 4 coffees a month, and so on and so on. But what started to happen that people's participation dropped down after the summer. So we were thinking, okay, the same way like we are engaging our customers when the content matters and the way we use matters, we need to use this same logic when it comes to our colleagues. So now we are in the stage when we are much more thinking about the content, much more thinking about what really engage our people, what they need. So we already have some interesting and good examples that seems to be successful, and we are trying to think how to move this even further. For example, the ideas that were brought by actually employees. So that's a very interesting point that when we were creating it from the table, it wasn't that successful. For example, like topics like mental health or health as such, or how to build our resilience. So, for example, on these topics, when we had webinars and discussions which were voluntary, we realized that more than 50% of organizations participated. And then they created also on the internal social network group called Mental Health, which is now very active, where they are sharing recipes, where they are sharing the interesting contacts for massages, for stuff like that. Or there was a very interesting webinar which had a very simple topic, how to breathe normally. So these topics seems to be needed, and before our participation rate will drop down again, we are thinking how to do it so we maintain this excitement and we bring again something interesting. Or there was another idea again from colleagues, from IT colleagues this time, to launch not the virtual trainings on how to use technical digital channels or any technical stuff, but so the point is it is not a training, but they are just collecting every week any question, and they are saying any stupid question is good from employees, and then every Friday morning they are just answering those technical questions and technical issues, and they are discussing with colleagues. So they are not just sitting there and watching the training, where 80% of what is shared they already know, but they are just asking what they don't know, just those small pieces. And these also have a quite high participation rate, even though it started to drop down right now, and we do not know why. So what is also showing us that data are important, right, in all this. So we are trying to find out how to actually analyze these things and how to move it to the next stage again, because it seems that it is not enough just to use the digital channels, but the question is how. So here I would like to maybe step and maybe even if you have any questions or if you have any comments, because I'm sure you have the same problem, maybe similar experience, I hope we can have a discussion either now or maybe at the end of our presentation. So with this, I'm handing over to Peter.
So awfully sorry about the small technical issues over here and the small echoes. Ivana, again, thank you very much for your presentation. And as I was saying, thank you for the jog of my memory, because as excited as I was for your presentation, I totally skipped through the technical introduction of this webinar. And that is to all the participants to say that obviously whoever is not on stage is currently muted and you cannot jump into the conversation. But on the right hand side of the window of the session, you have the possibility to jump into the chat and ask any questions. And also we will be posting any polls, so you can participate in the discussion, and I will try to sort of get the interaction going back and forth. Obviously, at the end of this webinar, after David's session, we'll be going through these questions and through the chat, so we can address whatever pops to the minds of our participants. So, Ivana, thank you very much. From my side, the most important, or let's say fascinating fact, was that you guys at M.S.D were successful at getting your colleagues actually adapted to the current situation, which is changing ever so rapidly right now. And I must say kudos to you guys that you actually made your colleagues comfortable with the current situation, basically saying, well, this is not a problem anymore because we can actually work in this state, which is absolutely amazing. So, wow, I'm actually speechless regarding this. So, to cut this short again, I'm going to hand over the stage to David Března from Aspiro. David, please do carry on.
Good morning, everyone, and let me take it from here. I will start with, before we dive into ideas and solutions, how to deal with the topics that we've heard, is I would like to stop here and for a moment and wrap up a little bit what I perceive now is that many companies have been very successful in putting what we call digital muscles. So we have distributed and connected people through different platforms and means. And I think what is becoming the interesting part is how do we exploit and use these platforms to actually get to a digital head. So before doing that, it's a little detour and thought about what do we want to achieve? What is actually the digital employee? How do we know that we have been successful? And unlike we use quite a lot of discussions and measures and sophisticated methods to measure to determine that for our external customers in the digital channels. I have seen very small discussions and very small thought about how do we know that our employees are very digital and we are successful in that. So taking a similar view as we do for external customers, I could apply the same for internal employees and putting employee as in the position of, let's say, internal digital customer. If I do so, then defining success in my terms is looking at number of employees that I have registered in my channel, and this is slightly different than what we experience in external customer world. When we would be happy if we have 60, 70, 80% customers registered in our digital channels. For employees, we believe you need to strive for 100%. I will explain soon, but if I don't have all employees in a single channel with employee ID, it limits significantly whatever I can do for employer, for employee, and between the employees. So this is a measure where I want to have all of them registered. The second, which is again similar to the external world, once they are registered, I'm starting to be concerned, are they active? I can look at the activity from two angles. One is simply I can measure how often they come and log in or appear in my digital channels. And by that, I don't mean logging into another virtual call or virtual meeting. I mean really into my digital channel. And I can measure it daily, weekly, monthly. But more importantly, if I dig deeper into this, is I want to understand if people are passive or active. And this is something that I mean, we are all now through 6-7 hours of virtual meetings, probably, or most of the people in the, let's say, the office type of work. But what I'm seeing is that most of these meetings or virtual calls, they have probably more than 2 people in the in the room. But out of 10 people, 8 people are really passive. I call it a theater effect. So they come as for theater, and then unless they need to turn on the camera, they pretty much usually they do some other work, or they are passive because they are not engaged in this particular topic. So what we might be looking at is how many people are actually sharing something with us. So this is one of the signs that people are becoming active. So they share the content. And then if I drill even further down the road, if I am a company which provides digital products to the end customers, it might be interesting to see if our employees are how fast and how natural they are in adopting our digital products for external customers compared to our customers. So I would expect my employees are ahead of the game. So when they stand in front of the customer, they are not figuring out how this really works. So this is something I can also measure through different methods. And I would like our employees to advocate actually new stuff if we are providing such a products to customers. Then last, I want them to, if I think about employee agenda as a set of services between us that we consume, that I would like them to start using as many services as I develop for them, or as they suggest. So I would like to use, start looking as if I have the channel, if I have services or interactions there, are they really using it for the purpose that they have been built for, or are they still using papers and circling around the traditional way? And the last, which I wanted to mention, is the ultimate goal to me is that we want our employees to start coming up with ideas. How do we extend, develop, or further improve our digital channel for the employees? That is the stage where basically we no longer at the headquarters or at the project or consultants need to actually define what is really smart idea, but this is where they start to live in the channel and they start to exploit it themselves. So this was a short stopover because I think we don't talk about this that much, and it's important to understand, at least for us, to where we are heading with that. So with that, I would like to jump into basically the 2 topics that we have today. The first topic is related to still how do we build the digital channel, which is centric and built around the employee. And this is something that goes beyond all the fragmented platforms and should be built around the employee, should be, let's say, UX or user experience friendly. And it should not be built around our backend systems or different departments and agendas that each of them have their own needs and purposes and services that they need to expose to employees. So this is one part. This is something that we have been working on for quite some time. This is not related to COVID. This has been already 2 years ago when we started to entertain such a topic. To be honest, COVID helped a significant deal because it brought several use cases which are making use of such a digital channel of a critical need in many situations. So this is one part. The second part that I want to then shortly show you or share with you is that if I have such a channel, what could be an example of a new and unusual content or format that I can plug into such a digital channel so I can start entertaining people beyond what I call the must agenda. So this is what they need to do or have to do because they need to log into the calls, they need to fill in the time reports and so on. So we would like to talk a little bit about how do we bring agenda that they like to do. So we can invite them in a natural way to join our digital channel and have a little bit of fun. It boils down to a simple fact, and I call it that how do we subsidize kitchen or team offsite or after work beer type of agenda, which is very important from the employee perspective, which is important component of which contributes to sense of belonging to the company. And this is something we have now been cut off, and we are seeing this the hungriness of people to actually compensate for that. So these are the two topics, and let me dive into the first one. So first, how do we envisage building or shifting from today's employee view to a internal digital client view? What it means, and again, applying same principle that we day by day use towards our external customers. They are no different. We have just never had enough probably time and importance to apply these internally. So first of all, moving mobile, we need to get mobile, and this is not. This has several reasons, but of course the obvious one is that we need to sit on the device which I can reach out to employees independent of where they are, especially these days, and also I need to reach out to employees independent of whether they were or they were not provided by a company device. But more importantly, mobile provides me also an important features related to mobile identity of the employee as well as authorization method, without which I can limit myself significantly in terms of what I can do and how I can benefit from such a platform. The second principle, decentralizing. So I need to get from broadcasting to interaction. So today's formats are pretty much limited, and I was glad to hear that Ivana has mentioned several new formats that they already adopted. So it's already on the way. But I would say 90% of our interaction is logging into the meeting, and in terms of interaction, we have gone as far as basically using a group chat. So we need to get basically to a formats that bring a different type of interaction that will actually release or make more comfortable for other people to engage. And these interactions are not necessarily standing in front of camera or presenting to colleagues. So we would like to have interaction between the employer and employee, as well as between employees. And of course, we would like to use and provide means for interaction that they know from the non-working life. So they all know how to share, how to like, how to follow, how to vote, polls, and so on. So these are the type of interactions that we would like to bring in and have platform form. And here I would like to also mention that even the chat and the communication, let's say the instant communication, has one shortfall, which is we need to have a communication where we know everyone is connected to and it's secured. For some reason, I'm still seeing quite a lot of organizations where, for example, they are running a major transformation programs or implementation programs, that at the working level, the most common communication platform used in the delivery teams is it's a WhatsApp group. Even when having so where we have sensitive information flying around, there are externals, and I don't even work for some of these clients. I'm still in the group. So also providing means for secured closed group interaction is and communication is something that we want to have. Third principle, we need to get personalized, so it's not one size fits all as we have today. So for that, I need to have actually identity of the employee. But more importantly, I would like to have this platform built as a modular service-based platform, which means I can connect only services that are relevant to the specific employee. For some people, that can be approval of purchase orders, but for some people, could be other stuff. Probably for all, could be meal vouchers and so on and so forth. So we want to have basically a platform that allows us to customize whatever is relevant from the agenda to a specific employee. And last but not least, we already mentioned we need to get from a must-do content, we need to extend it with I like content, and even to have it organized around me, not around how company is organized necessarily. So this is what let's say this is a little bit of theory. I would like to mention one more thing here, and this is related to the registration rate. This is something that we have been bouncing in and out on how to do it, because if we want to have 100% of people registered, you need to figure out a smart way, or let's say a smart piece of agenda that can bring them on. This is not a technical problem. This is a business or also data protection problem. So we have seen several ways how to do it. For example, if the company is distributing meal vouchers, you can switch to a digital meal vouchers. So you are looking for pieces of agenda where everyone has to be present, and you're using that to basically establish and onboard people into a digital platform. The other parts could be, for example, the entry systems or entrance cards, which again, if I digitize them and I move them to a mobile, so I can open up my doors or garage case, I can give a reason for people to onboard. At the same time, of course, I need to do with employee contracts and data protection and other aspects. But this is important part of that, because otherwise we may end up like, if I may use the unsuccessful example, when governments are trying to promote a digital ID, where only 5% of inhabitants or citizens have adopted that because they have no reason and it's not obligatory. So then basically all the services that we are building for such a channel are not necessarily being used by vast majority of users. So now I want to show you how this could look like in a real life. This is a short demo. So we are we could have an application that registers, that is using timeline as something that people generally know and provides me with the means to update on daily basis. I can also manage people on-site, off-site presence. So not only I know who is on-site, who is today working from home office, which is of course now the topic. Also, I can understand who is checked in, checked out, so if they really work or not. I can consolidate some help desk or let's say trouble desk agendas from technical help desk or facility help desk. Then of course I can run some approvals for which I need the authorization method. And then most importantly, this is the part where I can where we are showing how do I build the specific and relevant services for each customer, so they can plug in the services and they can use it, for example, for reserving some shared resources like parking places, which is the headquarter topic always. So this is the way how the application is organized around the employee, so the employee knows which ones are relevant or which ones are obligatory, and they can actually personalize their agenda between employee and employer. So a short demo, and with that, let me summarize. So by what it means from the employer perspective in these days. So first of all, I can, and even though that seems to be a rather marginal and not necessarily position as we know today, manage means I can tailor it to the group. I know that all my users are registered, so I know I can reach them, notify them, and most importantly, I can request, I can enforce the read of that notifications if I need to, for example, for emergency notices or other type of communication. I can enforce the reading, but I can also request the feedback, immediate feedback, so which is also quite difficult, and I can track that down. So if I want to have a compliance feedback, so people ready, they agree to it, I can use such a method. So it's a next level of communication towards the employees. The second part we already mentioned. So this is the digital authorization. So using the device itself and the platform itself to authorize, as much as our internal policies and procedures allow. We would like to basically shift the authorization to a mobile. So for that, I need to have everyone registered. I need to have the authorization method. So I can sign the documents, I can approve purchase orders, and at the same time, I can I can have audit trail of that if I need to from an internal procedure perspective. Then we have health and office connected services. Those, I mean, businesses in the office space or office-based businesses are experiencing also quite a lot of options and new services provided by, for example, by facilities. They are introducing lots of sensors and IoT devices that can help you to navigate and manage throughout the buildings. And these are also these days they can be used for some emergency warnings and closing down or managing the post-COVID issues. So this is again something that I need a channel and platform for, otherwise I cannot reach the employees. And then I have something a little more handy for, let's say, employees, which could be a booking of shared resources. I mean, most obvious headquarter problem is the parking lots, which are normally dedicated to a single person and utilize 50% of in a week. I mean, these days they are 100% empty if I park in any of the business centers. But once we get back, this will become again a topic. But the shared resource is not only parking place; it can be also office space, because now we are booking desks. We need to, as Ivana said, I think it's we even need to manage basically disinfections and so on. But also meeting rooms and car pools, pool cars, and other shared resources. So this is in a very short summary what we understood and what we mean by an employee-centric digital channel that can open up many ways of simplifying agenda, getting more efficient, and also bringing benefits to employees. So let us move on to the second topic that I mentioned in the beginning. So let's assume we have built and we have access to our employees through a digital channel. Now let's entertain ourselves a little bit with an example how a new and unusual content can be plugged into such a digital channel and have a little bit of fun around the employees. So what I want to share with you is this is actually based on something that is already running. This is called IWATT. IWATT is a running concept in Slovakia. Has been launched a year ago, and what IWATT is it's a digital currency of positive energy. It's your personal battery of positive energy. What we have launched in Slovakia, it's been for a year on the market, and generally, in very simple words, how this works, people have to move, and through physical activity, they generate the positive energy. The positive energy is loaded to their personal account or battery, so it works almost like a bank account. And once they have the positive energy, they can do something meaningful with that energy, and which is important. They can also do some personal benefits, but that is not the point. The most important part is they can transfer or send the energy to their favorite clubs. So in Slovakia, we have 5,000 clubs registered. And then by doing that, they are actually moving clubs up in the league where they compete based on how much energy how active they are and how much energy they collect. The energy is used as a transparent distribution key for sponsoring money, which are provided by partners of the platform. So I don't want to entertain this. I just wanted to share. This is something that is working. It's external. It's working on with external users. Now and you can try it. You can live with that. So you can send money to send energy. I'm sending energy to my clubs where either I play or my kids go to do sports. So what we want to now show you how we could use a very same concept, which has been proven within the company, and very shortly. So what I would have then, I have employees that can gain the energy. It's not gainer, so they have to they have to move, and then they have to be responsible for their health. By generating that, they are actually they are earning the energy. By the way, this works perfectly in lockdown days, because this works even better. So this is unlike many other things, because people can move and be active even if they work from home. And of course, we can let employees generate also positive energy through other activities than sport or physical activities. So we can incentivize other behaviors that I want to achieve. So, for example, in consulting world, it's usually submitting time reports on time. So I can imagine we would use that so people can get some positive energy. Now, how they could use it internally in the company, this is the interesting part. So I can then start using the energy. Of course, they can use it for their own benefits, like a cafeteria. But most importantly, they can use the energy to vote and decide, so they can be part of the decision-making process inside the company. They can use it as they can send it to a colleague. So this is a digital empathy, and Ivana already mentioned they are already doing things like that. So this is something where people can give something or for and meaningfully contribute to somebody or something which is not a personal benefit. This seems to be a very very nice and way to engage and motivate people. And of course, they can compete and unlock their personal rewards. So if they're moving up the ladder for some goals, and you can lead them up to a different rewards. Yeah? So what if we plug this into an internal company or organization environment? What people could do, for example, so on Tom on the left side is a guy that is representing employee here. For example, they could imagine they could decide on where our organization invests in our CSR company budgets or initiatives, so they can decide what projects we support and we engage them, so they can send the energy there. They can also they can vote for simple things like, are we buying culture to table into the office? So all the internal initiatives, all the improvements of your environment. And then they can also organize and sign up for virtual challenges, sport challenges, and so on and so forth. You can only imagine, what would be the other use cases in your specific situations. So not only they have fun, but also they are engaging on a regular basis. And then from Monica perspective, which is let's say representing management here or HR management. So then she can provide means for employees to actually organize between themselves things like virtual challenges. I have been now working with a customer that is undergoing through a merge of two companies. One is red, one is blue, and then they are thinking about, could we actually use that potential, which is usually a sensitive topic when merging two companies. So could we use that actually to offload a bit of a pressure from the official and formal match and have a competition between these two worlds and start actually engaging team between each other and then knowing each other. Then from a management perspective, what is also important by introducing something unusual and innovative into the company, the leadership steps in front of the customer, in front of the employees, and actually they can kickstart the real change. And they can lead that by example that we are really serious about becoming digital and becoming innovative if this is the topic. Then having employees healthy itself would probably be an interesting case. So getting our employees healthy and reducing sick days and or other type of absences or not well-being, I think leads into benefits on its own. And last but not least, I can of course connect my cafeteria, for example, into such a program, so people can change the energy for cafeteria benefits, which are the individual benefits. So with that, this was a short detour or insight on how could we plug into a digital channel a different type of content, but that could help us to entertain the employees while also achieving and contributing to our business objectives. So we have With that, this is the end of my story. So whether you are still fighting and tired of managing your agendas through Excel sheets and mails, or you already you are better equipped and you are really figuring out how do we now entertain ourselves a little bit in the company. And for both of these topics, we would be happy to to make 2021 your year of employee experience, not customer experience this time, for a change. And with that, I would hand over to Peter.
So, Ivana, I hope you are still with us. And if maybe I would like to hand the stage over to you, because obviously there are two questions related towards the topic that you have discussed, and that is a topic of the table reservation system for the share desks. If you could possibly elaborate on that topic a bit, it would be very welcome.
Yeah. So the first question I see is what kind of software you're using, and that's different in Slovakia and different in Czech Republic, because as I said, in Slovakia we are 60 employees. So for that, our solution is basically pretty simple, and as I mentioned, it came from booking file for parking lot. So it's basically the shared document which has an exact plan of our office, and why it cannot be solved via chat or whatever else is that every second place is basically blocked because we have to maintain 2 meters distances. Therefore, nobody has the originally assigned working place in the office. So now we have totally free seating. Even the managing director's office is now ready for free seating, and therefore people are just clicking on the plan in the shared file, writing their name, and they are basically booking the slot in the shared file. The problem is it is not in the mobile phone, which was also the problem when we had this system in a parking lot, because it would be easier. You are standing in front of the office in your car on the red light, and you just block the parking space. So I have now what to think about after David's presentation, but in the small scale, like 60 employees, it is basically working very well on the shared file. In Czech Republic, when we have 1,500 employees, basically our colleagues from IT have programmed something. I cannot basically share the software name because I don't know it, but it's not in the mobile phone. But it's of course more sophisticated solution, because in 1,500 employees you cannot use share file. But I had one interesting idea during David's presentation that was about parking once we are hopefully back, because again, when you have 60 employees, shared file is just enough, right? Because we have a lot of company cars, usually the parking lot is full, but when somebody is on business trip or on vacation, they need to unblock the space, and then somebody coming with a private car can book it. But in Czech Republic, sitting in the very center of Prague, there are no assigned parking spaces for people who are having company cars. So basically it is first come, first serve, which is not really fair, because it's pushing you to come to the office at 7 or something like that. So it would be nice to have this kind like competition, like how much you are walking through the day, and then you have this positive energy, and then you are preferred in booking your parking space. So it's a very nice idea for the future once we are back.
Thank you, Ivana. Thank you for sharing the insights regarding how this works with you guys. And I would maybe go to the question that Darren Williams had posted in our chat. And I think that this question should be actually answered by both David and Ivana, and obviously ladies first. So if you wouldn't mind, Ivana, going a bit more for what you in M.S.D have tackled, the single greatest problem digital employee solution and philosophy is solving, and what has it solved for you, apart from parking? And then maybe David, taking a step back, going for a bit more general issue, what it can solve and should solve. if you do agree to this. So please, Ivana, if you could start on this.
So imagine that we wouldn't have all these tools and we would have the similar situation like we are having today, meaning working from home, coronavirus, and so on. How we would collaborate, how we would be connected. You remember this phone when you need to, really put the number in it by using finger, right? Can you imagine that we would have a coronavirus that days? So for me, it is solving that we can actually continue working, that we can be still connected, and then that's from the business perspective. And I know that it's not ideal, but thanks to all these solutions, we just do not feel alone, right? I'm feeling person, I'm HR person, so for me it is like, yeah, we are not feeling alone. We can still socialize, and even though it is not that good like face to face, it at least happening, right?
Okay, so let me respond from my point of view. Thank you, Darren, for your question. And I think that all platforms, WebEx, Zoom, Teams, and Basecamp, whatever else we need to do, I'm not sure if this is the single biggest problem, but they don't provide actually means today. They don't provide means for anything beyond virtual meetings and communication. That is the most limiting part. So starting from authorization and then exploiting our specific services or interactions that I need to have in the company, it's very difficult to run through this. And they will be moving that direction for sure because they understand that. Yeah. But I think they are. It's going to be very difficult running this from a global perspective at the local specific situation of the customer. I could also tackle two other questions while I'm managed to be unmuted, because this seems to be quite a success. So Mr. Cheka, yeah, using simple chatbot for reservation tables and other resources, I would agree. This is how we all started. This is what we do. So I think the SharePoint and shared file or chatbot or works perfectly and actually will serve for a size of organization and for a certain time. But as we are even organization like Aspiro, which is not a big organization, I have now actually several other as I'm adding these topics for reservation of tables, I'm adding more and more now. If somebody gets tested positive, I need to have another Excel where basically everyone needs to be retested, and I want to track this and that. Then I have another Excel. So I'm getting actually into a situation where I have too many Excels that I need to think. And this is becoming complicated. So I don't have a single spot where I can actually find agenda around me, not around the employer. But I would agree with you, as long as we run with shared Excel, I think it makes sense. And I'm not promoter of implementing for the sake of implementation. I think unless we see the real benefit for the size and complexity of organization, that basically we can still manage with Excels. But I think the time will show it will be very difficult. And also just managing seats, if you are 50 plus or 100 plus, I think managing chatbot and reservation will make up for a full-time employee soon. Yeah? Okay. Any other questions? I will hand back to Peter and get muted again.
David, thank you for your share, and I hope that this answers all the questions so far. I can see that Lukasz Chika has already responded, so that's absolutely brilliant. And I hope that Darren Williams is satisfied with the answers so far as well. I'm going to basically start my ending speech right now, which will always give you, or also give you a bit of time to actually cast in your last votes for the polls and last questions for the chat, so you can all actually cut me short and we can get back to the questions and answers. But anyway, I would very much like to extend my thanks and gratitude to both our speakers today, Ivana Sulikova from M.S.D and David Dresner from Aspiro, because I really think that the digitization, especially on the employee or human resources level, is strongly, I wouldn't say underrated, but well, there's a lot of space for improvement, so to say, in a very politically correct manner. And I can see that from the polls, as far as we have the votes in right now, the leading option right now is that what our customers or clients or partners are struggling with is the engagement with their colleagues and the team activities, virtual cafes, virtual challenges and whatnot. So basically getting the social interaction into the virtual world, for which I think that we have posted or shared quite a few options how we can tackle that. Obviously, if you have any sort of feedback regarding this, if you have any sort of new ways that we haven't mentioned or touched today, please feel free to either let us know in chat or let us know offline. And once we close this webinar, which I think we'll do in a couple of minutes, we'll obviously circulate all the presentations to all the participants right now. And last but not least, well, this is not a YouTube video, so we wouldn't really say subscribe to us, but please do share your feedback with us. At the end of this webinar, you will have a small feedback survey, which is only 2 clicks, and it matters. It would mean the world to us if you would let us know, both regarding the topic itself and the format of the webinar, how satisfied you were with us. So, having said all the technical stuff, seeing no other questions in the chat. Oh, thank you very much, Darren. Darren says that Gallup suggests that the percentage of workers who are engaged in the US is at all-time high, so 34%, pardon. So right now, well, that's still a minority, isn't it? So we have a long way ahead of us, and it's only up to all of us and all of you, obviously, to take up this challenge, and move it forward. So again, thank you all very much for your participation today, for your attention. Again, thank you, David. Thank you, Ivana. And I wish you a lovely reminder of the, well, beautiful autumn day we have over here in Prague. Thank you very much. Take care and stay safe.